If you're, I can see your
Oh yeah, I am talking. I was on mute. There we go. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Glad to see you guys for our earnings coverage today with GameStop and see what kind of action we're going to get out of that one. All right, friends. Yeah, Jared's with us, Peter's with us, and also Brian might be joining us in just a second. Brian, I see you in chat, but you got to turn off that mic and come through VMix, or else we can't hear you. All right, Peter, how are you, man? I know you're having an off day, not a trading, but just overall, you feel off today since all morning.
just feeling off today, and it's one of those days that happens, right, where you're just not feeling in sync with the markets, not feeling in tune. I'm just feeling generally fuzzy in life. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So, but I got a workout scheduled after the close here, so hopefully that will maybe kick me into gear.
Kick you into gear.
So we'll see. See what happens.
All right, Jared, we haven't spoken much today. How has your day been?
Kind of similar to Peter. I'm kind of a little slow off the ground. Some other actions to take care of today, but overall, just kind of a normal day. A lot of trading took place in the morning, and then I haven't really been back to look at anything until just now. So,
all right, let's get to it. So GameStop is the one today. Again, how can we not cover GameStop? The one that call this the meme stock that started all the memeing and short squeezes out of control. Has been very quiet. But Peter, where is our buddy Warren Kitty? What's going on?
Well, you know what? I'm not surprised we haven't heard much. Roaring Kitty has a great propensity for disappearing acts, and then appearing with random memes at the most unexpected time. So earnings are probably not the time when he's going to poke his head out again. For those that might be new to this, GameStop, of course, being pretty much sort of the original meme stock that really sort of kicked off the whole trend. And Roaring Kitty just happened to be that's a sort of, I don't know, what do you call it, online handle for a fella named Keith Gill. And Keith posted an expectation that Roaring Kitty was going to go up. He had all this fundamental analysis. He was absolutely bullish on it. And not because of the fundamentals, but just because of its remarkable meme status that sort of came out of nowhere. The stock did go up. And if we don't have to look farther than a daily chart on GME, go back in history and just to remind us what it did, right? Yes, and as it went up from $3 or $4 or something up to $120, seemingly overnight, and then kept making these spikes, right? So it was a wild time for anybody that was trading in that period, and it was the first time we'd ever seen that. It was driven largely by individual investors. A lot of stuff we use as terminology today came out of that exact, out of GME and out of that time. To the moon and diamond hands and paper hands and all these expressions that came out because this was largely pushed by a Reddit subgroup, Wall Street Bets, where a lot of the talk was being generated and the conversations around this was being fueled. So anyways, so that's the meme status. Now, what we have to remember is that behind all of that, there's an actual real business, right? Like GameStop actually runs retail stores that sell new and used equipment and games. They're in malls all around North America. They're here in Canada. They're there in the US. And they have a real business. And based on that real business, they are expected in this quarter to deliver 1.45 billion in revenue and about 9 cents per share earnings. So they are currently a profitable business, well, although not by a huge margin. So, look, I don't know what to expect here on earnings, because a lot of the talk on GameStop is that their business is faltering, right? The old bricks and mortar, build a store, expect people to come model hasn't been working great in a lot of different sectors, and gaming, which has largely moved online for purchases and re-ups and subscription-based services and interactive cooperative or competitive gaming, that's all stuff that GME doesn't have a piece of. So the speculation is that they need to diversify. They've made some feeble attempts to do that in the past. Nothing's really stuck. The rumor right now is that they may be moving into cryptocurrency. How? Not quite sure how that's going to work and what that has to do with their existing business. Probably the answer, like most people that moved into crypto, it has nothing to do with their existing business, but they see it as an easy revenue source potentially to get into. You know, they've got a client base. There's a group that they can sort of market to if they chose to get into it. No details about whether, you know, is that just rumor or are they actually putting plans in place? Nothing's come officially out of the company. So there is a small expectation, I'll say, that on this earnings call that it may be addressed. Now, I'm not sure the format of their earnings call, but if they do a Q&A as part of that later on in the evening, then there may be an opportunity for the media and the analysts to ask some questions about whether that's the space they're going to go. So that'll be well after the market close. Earnings are expected to be at 4:05 today. So keep that in mind. At 4:05 is when we'll see the first numbers come out, and then usually the press conference starts shortly after, and they add their color commentary to it. So, like I said, 1.4 what was the number? 1.45 billion in revenue with 9-cent earnings, and GME. You know, so that's all the company stuff. From a technical perspective, I'm going to let Jared take the bulk of this, but really this is a stock that hasn't felt like it's been in play for a long period of time. It's oddly still getting a few million shares volume every day, which is a far cry, by the way, from what it used to get before it went, you know, meme status crazy, where, you know, it was only getting, you know, less than a million shares a day. But it's not, you know, it's not one of the big ones. We certainly haven't been talking about it in our pre-market show for a while. So
Yeah.
I'd be interested, Jared, to hear your perspective. And frankly, is there option activity? And if so, how much is that likely to have an influence on the earnings?
Perfect. Yeah, so we were talking about how to, I guess, address this stock today, and I do want to call back to what I discussed in our group. The stock feels kind of like a swarm of locusts at times, and usually it's a multi-year cycle when a bunch of locusts will come out, we'll get a big swarm, a bunch of crops will get destroyed, and then, you know, they go back into hibernation for 5 years. So I don't know if this is the earnings call to bring the locusts back, but it is going to be a stock that might have some activity as it's its first year-to-date earnings uh, call that we've seen. So I am looking for what I'll say is like directional edge, trying to give it more of like a volatility spin because the stock is better suited for volatility plays and not so much calling the direction. Um, what I have right now is a year-to-date chart on GME, and I've also got the expected move posted, which is about plus or minus $3. So we have a stock trading at about 25.30 right now. I went ahead and just marked 28.30 and 22.30 to give us a nice fence line to work towards. And you'll notice that these boundaries put it pretty close to the year-to-date lows if we're trading back towards 22.3. 28.3 would probably put a lot of pressure on some of the sellers from February. And it wouldn't necessarily clear all of the downtrend, but it might lead to, you know, potentially some more bullish setups moving forward. So I think either edge kind of, you know, doesn't stand out as a technical bias, but we are seeing a little bit of, I would say, covering volume and some probably short-term bulls stepping into this near the lows. So anytime I see a stock this kind of drawn down year to date, the upside potential starts to become at least more risky. And therefore, you know, if price were to move there, things could get a little different in how it's presented. Um, if I shift over to the option side, there's a couple things I want to look at since we have more time, just to kind of call out how the stock should be interpreted. Um, First things first, earnings volatility is showing at about 165%. And that normally would be pretty high, but this stock is an anomaly. So when we're looking at our statistics closer to the left-hand side near the bottom, and I could probably annotate that a little bit just for reference, this box right here. Um, you'll notice things like the current IB percentile, which gives you a sense of is the volatility I'm seeing now on whether it be a 30-day read of volatility or even the volatility we have in the next couple days, which is our earnings volatility, is any of that out of character? Is it really, really high, really, really low, or somewhere in the middle? And you'll notice the IB percentile is closer to like 6%, which means it's at the dead lows. It's closer to the 52-week low readings. That's for 30-day volatility, but even with our earnings volatility, this is probably somewhere around like 35%. And that's just in that range of 0 to 100. So we're not really seeing what I would say is like uncharacteristic buying or selling of options. This is actually pretty in line with a normal earnings call, which means I don't really see a lot of locusts coming out, not for this one. Um, Same thing with the historical volatility. We're not really seeing a lot of actual realized volatility recently. And to Peter's point, we're still getting a couple million per session, but we're not seeing the same type of trade that we obviously know took place. Even looking back just to 9 months ago, when there was another uptick in some trade activity. Was it 9 months? It might have been even almost a year at this point. Um, Some other things to look at, we have some elevated call and put activity still within the normal realms of earnings. So our call and put sizzle is, closer to like 2 times what we normally see. Really, all this means is that there's not a lot of people trading this currently, even though there's earnings and even though the stock has the characteristics that we described. Unfortunately, we're just not seeing the money. There's a lot of, I would say, larger hands take a bet. Um, and then last but not least, I would say if I look a little bit lower, I was kind of looking through, what sort of trade took place today. And looking at a time and sales on options is almost more confusing than looking at the time and sales of equities. But in general, I'm not necessarily seeing heavy hands playing in the call space or the put space for this particular series. A lot of what I'm seeing is actually maybe for next week. And there's a couple of spread trades that took place today that are more about playing skew in volatility, which is a very, I would say, like intermediate style way to trade options. You kind of have to know what skew differentials are like and kind of taking more of a bet on that coming in versus anything about the stock movement. So all that's to say is our expected move is $3. I would certainly love to see that stock, achieve one of those highs or lows. And as far as the short-term options are concerned, there is a little bit more of a lean to the call side as far as size. We have slightly elevated volume and open interest closer to 29 and 30. So volume today at 30, open interest, is kind of near and maybe growing in the 29 to 30 range. You can look at 25 and see the same OI, but because that's at the price, I wouldn't necessarily say that's a lean to the bull side. It's likely just some old trade that's still active. Um, and as far as volume on the put side of the option chain, wasn't really seeing a ton of it today come through. Most of what I saw was even used as more of a spread trade. So even if there was put volume, usually they were selling something in the earnings series and then buying something else later in time. So a couple diagonal trades, and I saw a couple of like just general calendars with maybe about a month to expiry. So not really the type of trade that would drive the market to run to one of those areas, especially on the put side. But I will say the call side has some open interest that might be worth paying attention to. And if we're hitting 29, that's the expected move high, barring another 70 cents. I would say those would be some great end of week targets. If we can get above 30, things can really change because then we'll have a lot more intrinsic option contracts that are actually under the price as opposed to just the target of maybe moving price to it. So looking for those dynamic changes, but kind of like what I was saying, we don't really have the locusts today. There's not a big enough swarm of money in this right now. And if I'm gonna play the edges, I would say this expected move boundary is a much better bet. So definitely looking for about $3 to $3.50. Hopefully to the call side to make things easier. So that's what I see.
All right, awesome, man. Good afternoon, Brian. Welcome to the party here. I don't know
Yeah,
if you can hear it. Hey, there you are. So yeah, man,
yeah,
the $3 move. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. We're not gonna I'd expect any fireworks like we're used to seeing, but again, how can we not watch this stock and reminisce on some good times, some really interesting times? Really is
yeah.
out of control.
Well,
Peter, I did not hear
yeah,
your
no
alarm
kidding. I mean,
for. Go ahead, Brian.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We're just looking at this 1 to 10 trade here for Peter. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
which
Yeah.
one?
mean,
Well, I was
this.
on mute at the time. I did take a long here on Tesla as we popped down at the alarm time, and
Oh,
gonna get a
okay.
pop back up here, maybe to 187 if I'm lucky. But
Yeah, it's funny. One of
I mean,
my mentees in P Capital took an amazing 5 to 1. I'm sorry, a 1 to 10 trade, and she did it on March 19th on Microsoft, and she's crushing it. She's done a few of these, Peter, and I'll show it to you here. And this is her trade. She's brand new to trading. Just started with the boot camp. Never had any trading experience before at all, and she was a little bit
right,
late to the party, but she's done a few of these and they worked out pretty good. The ones she's done so far. So she's enjoying this
nice.
1 to 10. She could be watching right now and looking for 1 to 10. So hopefully she's in something. That's Kate from
she's
our
she's
men.
joined the 1 to 10 club.
Yes, she
1 to 10
has.
club, telling you,
She looks forward to the
everybody's
close
The
welcome.
one
every
to
time.
ten club.
Do y'all have jackets?
They
Yeah,
should have a
well, we
Jagger.
should get some. Yeah,
I mean, if y'all don't have jackets, I'll make the jackets.
you're not in. All right,
Everybody,
I'll
every
make a
club
jacket
has jackets.
for you. All
Yep,
right,
yep.
Yeah, if you don't have a jacket,
just
you're not really a club. You're
you're not
a
really a
club
proper
wannabe.
club, right? All right. I just took another partial. We got over 187, so it's working well here on Tesla. Looking good. So we can get
Nice.
the high of day. Getting close.
Yep. Looking good, man. Looking very strong. What a day for Tesla. Another great day for them.
Yeah, I think that kind of calls into focus some pretty interesting trade dynamics today. I would say net net, the market is still kind of 50-50 today as far as what stocks are advancing, what stocks are declining, especially in just the S&P. The Nasdaq has kind of gotten a
Yeah,
little better over time, but you'll notice how wide some of the session ranges are today and how much price difference we're getting. Um, Tesla actually brings up a really good point. Tesla this morning was our weakest stock. It was down 2%, and no other stock was down that much at the time. Right now, it's our strongest stock. So the difference in that shift is, anywhere from like 5% low to high. And what's been selling into the close is healthcare. That wasn't really present this morning, but the selling has kind of gotten, I would say, precipitous. And I was looking across some of the real beaten down names today, which weren't really there this morning. They started attacking healthcare about midday on some of these key names. So really interesting dynamics today. They're starting to
was
basically
there
go after different names. So
was there any comments from White House administration about healthcare? Because quite often that's kind of a target for most administrations when they're talking about saving money. And so,
I am not sure, but I will take a quick
no,
look and see if I
yeah,
spot anything. I want to say this is more just a rotational aspect. Usually on
okay,
resting days when there's less volatility correlation, they're going to
yeah, yeah,
move certain stocks higher and certain stocks lower. But
Oh no, what am I doing?
Yeah.
it was not noticed this morning, and it's very obvious at this point that healthcare is kind of the beaten up sector at the close.
Looks like they're trying to. Looks like they're trying to close the SPY right near yesterday's close. It's up a little bit.
I am truly not with it on my trading today. I'm so used to going short that twice now I've tried to partial on this thing and I accidentally added to it because I'm just used to. I'm hitting the wrong buttons.
Oh, Peter.
Hey, the ads worked though. I mean, but it's just
there you
like
go.
I'm like, wow, what am I doing?
Sometimes you just get lucky. Yeah, Tesla is still going here. PLTR is red on the day. That's kind of interesting. AMD has gone green. Nvidia is in the red, which kind of didn't expect. Nvidia continues to struggle a bit.
Yeah, I'm looking at Tesla here, and it's amazing the move today. And it's funny because it wasn't that like in a couple of days people are looking to go short on the 29th on Tesla, right, Peter? You saw some kind of ad on that, or some kind of call from people to, hey, don't vandalize things, instead go short the stock. Who
Right.
mentioned that?
By my memory, you did, but I don't know where you got it from.
Oh no, I heard it from somebody else. So
Okay, well, there you
yeah,
go.
saying that the
Rumor.
29th, something about Reddit, that they're looking to go short on Tesla, like instead of vandalizing, let's go short the stock. That's the way to actually hurt the company more. But I don't know about that, man. You got to be careful with this ticker. Like you said, once people start talking about it, once regular consumers start talking about getting involved in stock, it's time to do the opposite. So be very careful. See how that goes.
Yeah, that is the irony of trading. Once a trade seems like so simple that
There we
it couldn't
go.
fail, it'll usually go the other way. So
Yeah,
that's why we use a lot of things towards the gauge of sentiment and kind of knowing when to bail on positions.
Taking another partial on Tesla here, new high of day.
Yeah, good job, man. Microsoft also had a good move towards the close here. I'm trying to hold it here, but it pulling back. Some good stuff. All right, guys, 2 minutes to the close. Let's see how the SPY and everything else ends. And then I think GameStop is like 405. We mentioned, so it should be right after. We'll see if we get any moves. I won't trade earnings, but go ahead, Brian.
I have a conference call at 1:00, so I'm going to have to drop off here. But good luck to everybody if you're going to trade this. I don't usually do trades on these calls, so sometimes I do. I'm not sure.
Right.
Yeah, GameStop's. We'll see what happens. All right, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you in the morning.
All right, we'll
Thanks,
see you,
Brian.
Brian. Thanks for joining.
Cheers.
Yeah, and we'll stick around here through earnings. We'll see if GameStop gives us any action. It might not give us any love, but
Yeah,
hopefully we can hope.
yeah. Trying to get this $3 move would be ideal for a Tuesday. Let's just say that. We're
Yeah.
trying to trade something that's supposed to happen by the end of the week, but we want it to happen now. So if we can get the dog to move, then we have a fence to trade against.
Come on, Jared, let's do it. What do we want? $3. When do we want it? Now.
Pretty much right now. Which direction do we want? I don't know. That depends on your bias, I guess.
Right.
What would really be nice is, why don't we get $6 where we go to the lows, we buy it, and then we go to the top and we just run the whole yard. That's truly what a good trade looks like. The full fence.
Yeah.
The full range.
Hanging in here. to the bitter end here. I want to get back over 288 for the close on Tesla. I'm hoping for a last second pop. All right, I'm at. There we go. Oh, I didn't. My last fill, 287.95. That's robbed me.
Yeah, they got you for a couple of
Did it there. Again. I love it. 359.59 was my last trade. So kind of 1 second before the close.
Yeah.
I've learned I put my bell 2 seconds before the close, so that way when the bell rings, I have enough time to react and hit the button, and I can still get out before the market closes. So
yeah, smart.
Oh, look now Tesla's popping even more. Maybe I should have just held on.
Yeah, man, this is making my swing trade. I thought I had a great swing trade. It's making me look so bad on this swing trade that I closed 2 days ago. This thing is just keeps rocking, keeps going.
Yep. All right, well, I'll take that. Great trade to close the day. Still not feeling on my game, but at least I know all is not lost.
At least you know you can trade. You're not feeling well, but you can trade.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, and there are times, right, when you just when nothing's working and you're like, that's it, I've lost it. I know Andrew likes to sort of joke about that, but I know he feels it sometimes. Like, oh, the magic's over. I'll never trade again. Right? Just, I'm done. I'm done forever. He's like, we all have to calm our emotions in those moments and say, all right, hold on. It's just...
it's usually just the stock that you decide to trade. I find that for every stock that doesn't work to your strategy, if you take a moment and look around, you find 5 others that would have worked just fine. So it's mostly just identifying the right name at the right time.
Yeah, there's no luck in trading. I mean that there is, but if there is something as far as luck, is that you watching the right stock for your positioning. That happened to me yesterday to both me and Peter on the stuff we traded. Was just if we would have just picked anything else, it would have worked nicely. So yeah, since any luck is that watching the right thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking across GME's level 2 for any signs of what's about to happen. There's definitely bids, and there's an imbalance of them. So there is a chance that we have to go down first. Maybe scoop up around 2350 is kind of like where the bid section stops. And then there's a little bit lower at 22, which is beyond where I'm looking. Ideally, if price can get those bidders and then maybe turn, then maybe what I was mentioning might come true. We might get the lower part of the fence, and then there are some asks above the current price, but those are a little bit farther away, and neither side really has a ladder to get there. So I think if we do get some movement, I'm kind of betting the bidders get filled first, which means we might see a price drop, and then hopefully they can turn. Gives us a lot more range to work with. So we will see, but I wouldn't say there was like a standout buyer or seller. There's just orders, and we're getting a little bit of price action here.
Yeah, getting some volume as well, so not sure if they're a little early.
I think this is just kind of creating the range of the book right now. None of the orders really got filled, but some of them moved just now. Tough read. I don't see any imbalance, which makes it harder.
Yeah.
I'd rather get these bidders to fill first.
Boy.
Question: if the market becomes 24 hours a day, what do you think that looks like for trading? Well, if you do have pre-market hours and extended hours as well, right? So if the heavy money still stays between 9:30 and 4, then it doesn't change much. Now, if firms start trading at different times of the day and now you don't have an explosion at the open, then that becomes different. I don't see the New York Stock Exchange doing that because those guys like to, be hands-on. But we'll see.
Here we go. GameStop's numbers are out. Looks like they missed on revenue. I mentioned that they were expected to be about 1.45 or 1.47 billion, depending what estimate you look at. Seems they only delivered 1.28, and then on earnings, looks like they actually beat quite handily. So a little bit of a surprise. They earned 30 cents a share, which is well above the aggregate analyst expectation of 8 to 9 cents. So, so they actually made more money than expected, but on lowered revenue. So, probably they made that off of their non-core activities because they've had an influx of cash that they've been able to invest and do other things with. But that's just a guess on my part. I don't yet have the details of their earnings. I'm not even sure how much of a breakdown they provide, frankly, but
Yeah, on the actual earnings reports itself, not the headlines, there is the breakdown, which I'm curious, man. I'm gonna see how I can get my hands on that and see where the money's coming in from. I saw a report from 2020, like 70% of their revenue is from retail sales, right? Like 6.4 billion. Oh man, look at this move. So I wonder how that is now, a few years later, if it's still anywhere near that. But again, who's going in to buy games at a store? Everything my kids play is just hit the download button.
Yep.
I don't know.
Somebody is, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does feel like I said it's a troubled business model. So they definitely need to expand, or they're going to go the way of the Blockbuster. It feels like to me. So.
Yeah, the fact they have survived quite a bit of time, even after the pandemic, which killed a lot of retail business, is surprising. So maybe this is one that survives the online, madness. So we'll have to see. All right, Jack, we're sticking up to the upside on this one.
Yeah. Not seeing any reason to doubt what they're doing with the price. Bids right now are kind of catching up to any of the jumps. It's about $1 at a time, so it's a little spotty. But net, I would say that there are, buyers going up to the current price and kind of supporting it as we move up. So I'm hoping to get a little closer to 28 before I would say the move is done. But I'm also seeing, I would say, like lower prices being loaded. So some downside bids that probably not able to be filled right now. And we'll need a little bit of a turnaround play. So not a stable one. Probably harder to trade. And deep pullbacks.
Yeah,
as you can
as you
see.
see here. Yeah. That's not clean. This will be fun tomorrow, though. I think tomorrow we're going to get the volume, and the fact that they beat by so much, Peter, that should provide us some trading activity as well in the morning. But will be interesting.
Yeah, we can hope. Oh, that reminds me.
Yeah. Let's see here how Tesla continues to push even after the close here. Continue pushing high once that 290 looks like. So this thing is just moving very, very well.
It's kind of looking like GME never really had price acceptance over 2750, and right now we're trying to lift 2750. You can almost tell there's a giant reversal pattern that took place back in February. So I'd be curious. It's kind of like what you were saying. If we have the volume tomorrow, if we can get over 2750, it'll put pretty much all of February underwater, except for the spike high that we see. And right now they're doing a pretty good job holding up to any of the pullbacks. So I'm trying to see what happens at 2750, because that could be a sharp break or failure. That should be the price that needs to be lifted.
Yeah,
But
it's definitely trying here.
more of a technical read, not as much quantitative. So this one I had to kind of pull a rabbit out of the hat for the analysis.
All right,
But
here it is, 2750.
yeah, let's see if they can beat these shells of sellers right now. Might not have the volume to do it.
Yeah. It's actually trading better than I expected. I thought it was going to be actually more dead than this, but with those earnings, you'll get some action.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think you got to maybe take it a piece at a time. It's not a steady shot, but
Yeah.
so far it is flowing higher. All right, 2750. I've got the high of the candle marked. Let's see if they can beat it. That price appears to be kind of the target right now.
Yeah, the high is marked 2753, just right on it, just like you called it. So struggling to get above that. Guys over on YouTube, if you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up. We really appreciate it. It does help us out a ton to do these. For the next 2 weeks, we'll probably be off. There's no reports happening, so earnings dies down. Then it picks up again week number 3 from now. We have some, the rounds again of earnings, it's a lot of fun, right? So creates a lot of volatility, see how companies are doing with all the tariff talks, this and that. So that should be interesting to see how those stocks move, which I love, man. The volatility we get, the stocks in play, it's just awesome. So looking forward to it. I feel like we just ended and start right away, so that's always nice.
Yeah, it's often the case with these, right? The stragglers on the earnings sort of tail into the next earnings. So
Yeah.
I'm
I think one-
actually regretting having got out all of Tesla right at the close. It popped up here.
Yeah, it's still going.
Looking to
4%
see
for the
if it
day.
would break 290. It couldn't quite get through there, but
Yeah.
anyways, oh well. I got a good trade.
Yeah,
1 to 10
Tesla's
for the
done that a
win.
couple of times, man. After hours, Tesla has still not a whole lot of volume, but it still continues to trend, right? And it just keeps pushing higher even after hours. The last couple of closes, so we're seeing a little bit of that now. And this is why this stock is just so fun to watch. I know we watch it every morning. It's on my watch list all the time. But here's the reason why. I mean, it's fun to trade, and when it gets going, I mean, the volume comes in and it moves so well. So always fun to have this one on deck. Yeah, after 2 o'clock here, this thing just went insane. It's a beautiful run. GameStop a little bit of a pullback and is right back again to 2753. Just hit.
Yeah,
few
they're
seconds ago.
definitely trying to eat through some new orders there. I don't know if they have the volume for it, but I don't see selling. I just see kind of hold right here. So I'm waiting to see. Really, what's interesting is what happens if they do clear it, because we kind of know that once you get over key levels, you tend to expand pretty quickly. A lot of people rush out of their position, and when you're testing it, especially from the underside, you have almost 2 parties. Someone who's maybe taking profit right in front of it, and then someone who's trying to defend it. So the release of that, I would say, energy is really what can lead to these larger expansions after the fact.
Yep. Mental Game on YouTube bought 2670, trying to push up. All right, good. Is this a day trade for today, or are you looking to hold overnight? These are scary to hold overnight unless you get a good cushion. So gotta be careful.
Yeah, it's always nice to maybe be somewhere near the couple days before and maybe near some of the lows, but to start a new position here, you definitely want to see a ton of momentum and maybe some volume. I really don't think we have the volume, but
Yeah.
the issue with that is volume can come in after a price is cleared. So I'm hopeful that I have the right price here, because knowing your targets is almost just as good as knowing, what to do with the rest of your trade.
Yeah.
So
GameStop has been
27.
risky since it was a meme stock. Yeah, no question. This is
Yeah.
this stock. I mean, it's funny when we do the schedule of what we're going to actually go live on. This came up on the schedule. We're like, all right, we're not going to do it, and then we were going back and forth. Like, we should do it because it's GameStop. Like, it has so much history on it since it did what it did a few years ago. You have to look at it.
Yeah. The stock has changed people's lives in both a positive and a negative way. So, I mean, it has history just because of its potential, and it doesn't have to be home run every time we look at it. But I think when there is a reason to look at it, it's definitely on watch, and usually can get something out of it, even though it's not quite as stellar as what we're used to. I mean, I remember trading it when it had the Robinhood halt, the time when they turned off the sell. They turned off. It's like
it's unheard of.
Yeah, and I remember taking a dip trade. It was down like 60% from 500 to 100, and I took a trade all the way back up to 300. It's like there's history with the stock. I know. I know how it works, and I know some of the dynamics, but we don't have locusts, So right now we just have a couple crickets. It's a little crickety right here. So.
Volume is struggling as we continue to pull back here. All right, friends, we'll wrap it up here. When is their call? When do they have their earnings call? Is it tonight? Right, it should be tonight, I will assume.
Yeah, usually it's shortly after they actually release the numbers. So I don't know. It could be starting now, or it could be starting at 4:30. But it should be sometime soon.
All right, excellent. All right, guys. All we had for you today was GameStop. I'm saying Tesla because I'm looking at Tesla just go higher and higher, Peter. There's 291 almost, 298.
I know.
I mean, this thing is just unreal.
I could have just left my shares in there. It would have been great, but I didn't. I guess I have a habit. I just get out right before the close. So.
Look at this day. Look at the double bottom on this thing. Just take off here. So I know it's a lot of people that were short, hoping for 200, but that's not looking like it right now. So careful if you're trying to hold this stock. This is a tough stock to short. It really is, because you just never know when you get 3 days like this back to back, and it can move so much. So up 4%, or 4.4 right now. All right, guys, over on YouTube and on our chat, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to wrap it up here, and we'll see you guys in the morning. GameStop will, of course, be on our watch list. I hope to get some volume tomorrow that's tradable. Day looks good here. Looking forward to it. Hopefully we can get some action on this one. Take care, guys. Hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. We'll see you live tomorrow, 8 a.m. in the chat, starting with Jared, Engineering the Markets. Then me and John tomorrow is going to join me for the market open. So Peter, you'll be off tomorrow. We'll see you guys then. Have a good one. Jared, as usual, thanks for joining me, man. Appreciate it.
Trade smart, everybody.
Yeah, thank you all so much. Bye for now.